2025, the first garden tour of the year. And yes, just so you know, I did manage to get down to Gary's garden for the new year. Hallelujah! So we're going to walk through all the gardens and you're going to get lots of tips as well as what is coming for the new year. New Year's Day, early in the morning. You never know what day we're going to be totally fogged in. That's why I did that beautiful sunrise last week, because there was not a cloud in the sky, no fog. And lately we've been getting fog every single morning, and then eventually it burns off. Hi, it is Robbie from Southern California from the Bird Garden on the new year 2025, which is going to be so exciting because I have so many plans, and I have so many that even if I don't do them all, I should get a lot done. So let's go around the garden and see what's going on. And then I can go in and see the Rose Parade and see what is going on around the world in 2025. Because we're going to do gardening, and of course I'm going to do hummingbirds and wild birds. But I think we're going to have so many ideas coming that somebody and everybody is going to be able to get something out of our garden that will work perfect for you to make your life easier, more fun, and to produce food, if that's what you want to do. But you know what I always say? Well, you'll catch that at the end of the video. Let's go take a garden tour now and see the changes that are already coming for the new year. I decided to start this garden tour in the rainbow garden, but I'm looking at the sky. What we are in is like a cloud. And you can actually see it drifting sometimes into the house if you've got the doors open. Look at this, the fruit trees. But we're going to end in the bird garden. Well, maybe we'll take a walk in the Gary's garden. Let me see how much time I spend out here, and let me tell you what's going on. Let's start here, the rainbow garden. I've got stuff growing. Oh, look, broccoli. And yes, I added in, since there's such small amounts, into our salad. And where am I getting the salad from in the winter? I'm getting it from the dog kennel. Now, we can grow lettuce pretty much all year round here, and I'm hoping you can too, because there's so many ways of doing that. But I've been using the small dog kennel to start some plants, do some propagating, and as well grow lettuce. And I've got herbs in there. So let's take a peek in there, and let's kind of go all over, and let me tell you my plans. Now, I do have big plans for the dog kennel. Another thought has been coming to me, and I think we can change the top up and use the top and get light through it. But that's going to come later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the top. I can step over here and tell you what my plans are. If it is too dark, this is a plastic type material. I don't see any reason why I cannot cut slits through them. And then to protect it from wind, and I don't want it to move around. After I do that, I can cover it in tulle. And that is my favorite thing. Yes, I started that years ago, knew the fabric, and knew how good it works for so many things. I even use tulle sometimes on the bottom of a flower pot. If the holes are too big, put some tulle there. Your soil won't fall out. Tulle is great in the garden for just anything and everything. But you can cover it with tulle, or if you're trying to hold heat in, we can do it with plastic. We'll show you as time goes on what I'm going to do. Look at my Wise Cam up there. And it's fantastic because I can peek out at night and see if there's any deer or anything going by. I love those. They're cheap and they do the trick. Now, you already saw that I painted this black, and I did not paint this. The whole thing is going to be painted, but we'll do separate videos on separate gardens so you can keep track of what's going on. But look at this. This has been great. Oh, wow. They grew overnight. Do you know when they get to this size, I pick them? Is that not gorgeous? Look at the time. You'll see some time that's not looking so good, but look how beautiful it's doing in here. Just getting a little protection. Even with the 1/4-inch wire and not covered in tulle yet, and I will be covering it later, it's getting protection from wind because the wind's got to go through those checkerboards of wire, so it kind of breaks it down. And look at that tomato plant. Is this amazing? In this little tiny box. It's like the size of a shoebox. And then I've got a lettuce back there. I've got a lettuce growing in a soap container back there, washed out well. I can grow lettuce. My thyme, I've got my parsley down there. I've got some seeds that may or may not come up now. If they do, they do. And if they don't, they don't. Nothing in here yet. I'm going to get some lettuce seeds in there. This, I've got some cuttings of the pineapple sage. Please label things. This is just off of a cottage cheese container. Cut the lids up if you're not going to grow on them or use them for anything, because I use the bottoms, of course, to grow in. And that's a cup, but that's what I use them for. This is a cottage cheese or yogurt container. But I take the lids, cut them up, and then I use them for labels. And then you get a good Sharpie pen and write what you want, because you will forget. Well, maybe you won't, but I do. Mushroom plant growing in a sour cream container. So things are doing really good in here. I've got tons of room. Oh, this is nothing. This isn't even set up. I can grow more plants all the way around on the ground. I can hang things. I'm planning on doing that. I'm hanging these baskets I picked up at the thrift store for 50 cents just to hold my garden tools, which are what? You get these at Walmart. I think they're like $4 for $1. Perfect for gardening. Look at this. Oh my goodness. This I'm going to end up growing a squash in. And this is it heavy yet? Oh no, I can move it. Probably we'll do a squash or a tomato plant in there later. I'm not sure, but I want zucchini so bad. I'll probably start with that. And I'll have to flip one out there because the bird comes in here every day to feed because they need insects. Basil. So I've got a lot going on at the same time, nothing going on because I'm just starting. I was going to hold back and wait till spring, and I thought, well, it's here, so start doing things. This is wonderful. There is that rack you can get from Walmart, and you can configure that in different shapes. If you wanted it tall, like a baker's rack, you can do the whole thing tall. You could do 2 sides, but here I did 3 because it will hold these boxes that I picked up probably at the dollar store, and I picked some up at thrift stores, and there's shoe boxes, and there's a dish pan that's growing those 2 lettuce in there. I can put more in there. Probably get 2 more lettuce in there without a problem. Notice the rocks helps hold water, even though we're really damp right now. And that's only $1.25. You could just put all kinds of stuff on there. So that's what's going on here. But I am just so excited. Oh, let me see. I'm so right-handed. Let me see if I can get this up. And the latch just has to go a certain way, and then down it goes. You can't really get locked in. There's no way to put a lock on that. I guess you could put a lock up here if you were going to lock it, but you're not going to get locked in. But I've got so many plans for the top, but I'm not going to do any altering on that right now because everything's growing great. I don't have any complaints on any of that. I mean, lettuce needs a lot of sun, but obviously when the sun comes out, it's getting enough, and maybe it could be getting reflection light. The other thing you could do if I really wanted to is paint the inside white, and that would reflect more. I can put some aluminum foil back there. That would reflect more. You know, I've done that. Mardi Gras beads reflects light. I could use that. And you go, Mardi Gras, you see me, I've done it. There's so many things, but it's working. So right now I'm not changing anything, but there's a lot we can do with that canopy top. And just so you know, they sell those. So if they tear up, I've seen them as low as about $48 to $50. So if something messes up, you can always get a new canopy top. You know what? I recorded myself doing this, and I think I'm just going to put up a short video on this. What's growing in here? I don't know. Some sort of squash. Now, is it sharkman melon? I don't know, but it's flowering. And it came up. Now it is a squash because I was composting squash, but it could be a hybrid. But this is why tulle is so great, and irrigation tubing. You get a whole roll, 500 feet for $40 to $50. This is a piece, I've got the video, I should do it. That's just fabric, but look at that. I've now protected this from birds. You know how birds chew leaves off of sunflower and squash plants? Well, it's completely protected if I want it protected. Will it grow now? I'm going to say probably not. And why? Because we're going to be going into cold. Oh, I left my tulle out. And it doesn't. And there's the old tulle that came off of this when I had it covered just lightly on the top. I'll leave that there, but I think I'll carry this and drop it somewhere. You know what? I'll come back after I do the video and put it away. Look how big they are. You use nothing when you're using it. $10. This is the turquoise, and the company was gracious enough to keep the price under $10 for 54 inches wide, 40 yards long. So it's double this. So when you see it like this, you open it up, and then it's 40 yards long. You're not going to need a whole lot. We will be doing many, many more videos on the long dog pen. It looks so much bigger than that one. But here's the deal. It's only 2. But when you put two together, you gain so much because you have so many extra panels by putting them together that you gain an extra, 4 feet on each side, and it brings it out a whole lot more. So instead of being 8 feet, which would have brought you to 16, it's 20 feet. And it looks massive compared to the little one. That's not so little, but it's only 2 of them. So I'm really excited with this. I'm still playing with this right now, and I'm kind of putting chairs in there, and I'm debating, my big debate is, will I put a regular patio chair in here? I'm not sure yet. It kind of sticks out, but it should be fine, and it will depend on where I put it. And that one I picked up at the thrift store. There's 2 of them, a green one and a purple one. And I like the way you can turn it sideways in and use the wall itself to also hold it in place. So I know I'm going to put the 2 chairs in there that I got at the thrift store. I don't know if I'm going to use another chair, and I'm thinking of doing it just because I'm chair crazy. You get them for free all the time. Look at the thrift stores, look in the trash, look at your whatever, free ads you've got. People got them in their yard. They want to give them away because it's giving off white, the plastic, and you hit them with cheap tester paint from Home Depot or Lowe's. You can get those little cans for $1 to 50 cents, and it works. These are not that big of a deal. We'll go down to the chair garden. Those were painted close to 15, 20 years ago, and they hold. But if you want something better, there's other paint you can get too. You can go get a little can, and a little can will paint using a small brush at least 3 chairs. I do it all the time. The smaller the brush, the less paint you use. Just remember that. So anyways, that's the reason I'm thinking of putting a chair in there, because you all know me from when I started YouTube with a chair and a tote. And I remember back then, people were like, what is this gal doing? She's putting a tote on a chair. Well, guess what? Now it's worldwide. I've got people from Africa and all over the country, all over the world, telling me that they're gardening food they've never been able to garden before because they're using chairs and totes. Literally all over the world. It's cheap. You can get a tote for as much in a store as maybe $7, or as little as free when people throw them out because they don't have a lid. And then you see them sometimes on the top of a trash can. Go to a thrift store. They have tons of them. Check your different thrift stores. Why do they have so much? I can't believe how thick the fog is this morning. Because people donate and they load everything into a tote. And then the thrift stores end up with all these totes and they don't want them, and they blow them out for $1 to $2. Ask them. And you can get different sizes. These are the 18-gallon ones that I buy. Those still are at Walmart for $6.98, and cheaper. They've had them off and on. That's a bigger one. That's close to 27 to 30 gallons. Whatever you get will work. But this is the rainbow garden, and though it looks a little shabby, we are in winter, I'm just letting it go. I'm propagating geraniums. I've got my strawberries, and I will be cleaning up. I like this. Off and on, I look at it and think I'm going to get rid of it, but you look how it turns. It's just a free chair, and I redid it with the tote lid that's been here for years. Look how nice it looks. I just need to either clean up the plants or get better strawberries, and that's what I'm thinking. I might get better strawberries because some of them I got for free, and there's, like my daughter bought these different ones. She bought like designer strawberries. Let me tell you something. The designer strawberries don't grow that good. You get these little white pineapple things, and I actually like certain types. So I might take this all out, maybe throw all those in a tote and let them do their thing. And it doesn't take that many because there's only 3 per layer. And then of course I've got a coffee container on the top, so I water that. It trickles down and waters the rest of them, and it works really good. So here you've seen all this. Let's walk through here. I'm going to do this a little differently. And there now I've got milkweed. I want to pull the milkweed out because that's what's helping the monarch butterflies come through. So I'm going to move some of them, and I'm thinking of leaving this contraption I built with all this irrigation tubing. Really a garden saver. You really need to start using irrigation tubing. And you can make these and design them with your tomato stakes or do it straight. But I had watermelon growing here, a ton of watermelon, 2 years ago growing in here. So I think I'm going to get the milkweed out and move them. I'm not going to take the milkweed and destroy it or compost it. I'm going to cut it down because that's what you do in the winter. And in the spring, it will burst up. And that's when you get all your monarchs. And I'm telling you, my yard is loaded with monarchs. And then I will put them in pots and kind of stagger them around. And then I might have a few here. Maybe I'll put them on the bottom. I'm not sure. I might put them in a protected area so when the monarchs come in and lay their eggs and the caterpillars start to come out, the birds won't get them. So I might drape some tulle over it. And that's what I've done before. And then I've got this thing. Look at this beautiful big hummingbirds lunch bush under here. It's growing under the canopy in full shade. So obviously they like sun and shade. And then back here are my buckets. This I got to get out. That's turmeric. I'm going to move my turmeric somewhere else. We're still getting the rest of the fig tree out. And the purple tree colored, I'm not sure if it will stay here or move it. See how it grew all over the place? I might do cuttings off of it or I might restake it. We'll see as that comes. But here the peppers are doing great in the winter. They're sheltered from the bucket, though I am adding in more soil. Look at that. There's peppers there. There's probably peppers here, but I've been picking them as fast as I need them. There's more peppers there. They're all through here. And the bucket is sheltering them because, see, the soil goes down. So the stalk, oh yeah, there's peppers there too. The stalk is protected from wind. And then peppers, believe it or not, a lot of times don't like the really hot summer days. And then, of course, my pizza garden. Let me turn you around this way. I would have thought my basil would have died back by now. And I've got basil growing on my kitchen window. I did a lot of cuttings. Will they make it through the winter? I'm not sure. Sometimes they can and sometimes they won't because they have like a little time clock. They are annuals normally because we get cold here. But, you know, it's worth a try. If they make it through the winter, I can plant them out in the spring, the cuttings I've done. And these, you can root them in water. Let me give you some pointers on that. Basil roots very well in water. So all you have to do is cut some stems, try to get rid of the flowers. You can use them if you want for something, and then root them that way and then get them in soil. And I've got all these videos on how to get them back in soil after they root in water because you can't just drop them in soil. They'll go into shock. Now, sage, on the other hand, and that does die back for the winter, that one doesn't like rooting in water. It actually does much better to do cuttings and get them correctly in some soil and keep them damp. They grow better. Same thing with oregano. Good to get clumps out and just propagate them in soil. And rosemary, same thing. You can root it in water, but I have had really good luck by just cutting it, sticking it in a pot and watering it well. And look at back here. Look at my thyme. It is not happy out here. How brown it is compared to the one that's growing in the dog kennel. The two in the dog kennel are doing great. And then here I'm just going to clear up and get my stuff done. I propagate in there, and in the spring I start seeds in there. See how the tops have tulle on it? It keeps the birds out, the insects out, and I can grow plants in there. It's not set up at all right now. But that's the rainbow garden early in the morning, and that's what it looks like. Now I'm trying to figure out what direction I should go in. Let's take a peek here, and then I'll tell you what's going on. Let's go this way and go up the driveway. Do you see what I see? Look, look. Oh, Malabar spinach on the ground there. Ooh, all this. That could be my next soil. My black cobra peppers. I want to get them moved. All the upside down planters are gone. Wait a minute. You really got rid of them? Yes, I moved them. Gary moved them. I went through and took the plants out. I replanted some of them. I've used the good plants, got rid of anything that was like mint. I didn't want the mint. That's not going to work. But look at that. This is all going. I'm just deciding where. It's all gone. My goal is to get all of this out. And a lot of those are really good. I can put them underneath totes. And it's got walking onions in there. I've got garlic chives. I've got an oregano that is really dying back. I got to get that pulled out and get in a bigger pot. And then I've got green sorrel, more walking onions. A lot of this is just grass seeds growing. Swiss chard. I've got a little bit of cabbage left. I picked my last one. This is mint. Just want to either dry it out, but I don't want it. That could end up being washed off the soil on the ground and then trashed because the mint went to seed. And by going to seed, it came up like wild mint. It doesn't taste good. Smells good, but it doesn't taste good. You want to do mint by cuttings. Oh, this is another pomegranate plant. I have so many. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the avocado tree. I had plans to move it all the way in the back and plant it. And now I changed my plans. Why? Because at my age, I don't know if I want to sit and wait to see if the avocado tree is going to grow fruit, or do I want to try to graft it? I do love that tree, and I'm not going to compost it. Let me get out of the thickness of the water dripping off the roof because it's so humid from the clouds. But I am going to move it somewhere, and it's growing in a tote. I'll show you something. I can just pick it up with one hand. You think I'm kidding you? See that? It's not in the ground. So I can move that when I'm ready myself. And I will. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to do something different this year. And maybe if I get around to it, I'll take you shopping, because I am actually going to shop for a tree. And I have an idea of what I want. A tree that's already grafted, ready to go. I drop in the ground, and it may not get fruit this year, but next year I'll get fruit. So before we take the walk, let's go look at the front yard. Nah, maybe we'll do that afterwards. We'll walk back down here afterwards and see the front yard. Let's go ahead and walk down here and see what's going on. So those are all the pots. Literally, when I do videos, as we're walking, I wing it. I have nothing scripted, nothing planned. I am the actor of the video. I am the writer of the video. I am the director of the video. I am the producer of the video. Oh, and Gary too. We do it all. So and I do literally come out here as a raven, and I just go for it. That's the way I do things. And that's the way I'm gonna probably always do things, because that's me. A lot of sow thistle here. That's Malabar spinach going up the wall. This is sow thistle. I leave this for the birds right now. I will compost it later because there's a lot of bird seed in here. This is seed, and this is what the little birds eat. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. Let's just throw it in there. So if it grows, I can move it. See, and then the hummingbirds take all the cotton and they line their nests. So let's say we're in January and we're still kind of warm one day and damp the next. Probably they'll start nesting in the next couple months. But I have seen them in the past when we've had a really warm winter, nest and start building their nest in December. But I haven't seen that now. These are all doing great. They're all pretty much done. These are onions. We bought these. I think it was Home Depot. And they're doing really good. I've been keeping them covered. I don't want anything to chew on it. These are onions from the 99-cent store that time. And they're doing pretty good. They were really dry, so not all of them came up. This is my garlic. I didn't want anything to eat it. Some of them are getting really big. And I only take a little bit, so I may end up with good bulbs, but there's too many in there. You really wanted to give it a little more room. I actually grew this for the greens, and I've got a whole video on that. That's nasturtium. I thought it was poppy. Oh, I got weeds in here. Hold on. It's one thing I don't want. I don't want to crush my onions. I don't want a bunch of weeds because weeds are going to take away from the plant. So we take the weeds out, but this is nasturtium. I'll come back and put the cover on later. Isn't that beautiful? So the garlic's doing really good. Like I said, this tastes good, and it's got all the nutrients that are in the bulb are also in the greens. So you can use this for weeds, for soups, salads, anything you need garlic. You use the greens. It smells so good and it tastes so good. The moringa is still hanging in there in a little tote with the Swiss chard that's red. And then these are just ready to go. I did not really plan to grow tomatoes in the winter. If they make it, they make it. And if they don't, they don't. I'm fine with it either way. And then this one, the soil's dropped. I will get more soil. If I leave the tomato, I'll just build up slowly around the trunk of the tomato plant. You wouldn't want to go in there and just put in, I don't know, maybe 6 inches of soil. It would be too much for the plant. But do an inch or two here and there and it will be fine. And this looks like it's celery coming up because I have celery everywhere. So I've been not pulling too much because I think it's actually giving shelter to the tomato plant. That's why it's doing so well. So I've been picking a little Same thing here. They're just trying to come up. It's nothing I've really tried to grow. This I'm going to leave. This is magnificent. And I use that in my green drinks. I use it when I make a salad. I use it for everything. And I've got walking onions, regular Swiss chard. These I'm going to change out. The garlic chives are dying back. I don't know if I'll leave that. We'll see what happens in the spring. I'm not planting anything in here. My plans for the wall, because it gets a lot of sun, is zucchini, maybe some different squash, and watermelon. It gets a lot of sun because right now, some of the places I grew watermelon is getting too much shade. So I didn't get watermelon last year, only one. And the year before I had like a dozen plus. I had watermelon everywhere. So if I plant up watermelon here and I can cover it with tulle to keep the squirrels out, I should get a lot of watermelon. So that's kind of my goal, is squash and watermelon. Oh, the ponds have seen better days. Well, it's winter. All the leaves are falling. These are pomegranate trees all through here. My sugar cane is dying back for the winter. So are the more other plants like pomegranates. They're all dying back. Now what's green is the rosemary, the elephant food, the geraniums. They're all green, and some onions. So they're doing really, really well. But it'll look nice in the spring. I'm not worried about it. Truck bed looks so green. Is that not beautiful? Here is where I'm going to have changes. We're going to move that. Oh, look at the little wren on the bottom. That's going to be moved, and my thought is to move that there. So when the weeds all start to come in the spring, and we've got to get the weeds out because we have weed abatement here, I'm going to have a place where I can plant. And this is where I'm thinking of putting a new tree. I was going to move the avocado tree here, but I'd rather have something that's going to give me something to eat right away and something I can really enjoy and something I don't have on the property anywhere. So I've got the nectarine that is loaded with nectarines all late spring. I'm eating nectarines, literally close to 100 of them on that little tree. And boys, that little tree needs some trimming, which I'm going to wait till all the leaves come off, and in spring I'll trim them back a little bit. My apple trees, I'm going to give it another year or so and decide if I'm going to keep them or do something else with them. But there I want to put something special. And in the truck bed, I think this year I'm going to plant a lot more flowers. I'm really happy with the flowers that are growing. Let's take a look over here. Look. And we're in winter. Is that not pretty? And then I've got all the geraniums. Look at all the new flowers coming up. So let me try to get around here. I grew one watermelon. I had 3 watermelon plants. Only one watermelon plant was successful to grow me a watermelon, which was really good. It was a crimson. It didn't get as big as it should have, but it was good. And part of the problem is that tree years ago split in half and fell down the hill. Gary couldn't drive to his garden, and believe you me, he was out there with a chainsaw taking it down. Half that tree came down, and we thought it was maybe going to go, and it didn't. It lived, and it's massive. And we've had hawks nest in there, and I think there's a raven's nest in there now. And because of that, when the sun comes up, it goes, well, where the tree is. So the truck bed now, that's why your weather changes in your yard. Sometimes it's not you, and you're going, what's going on? How come I grew that before and it's not growing now? Because the sun is different. This doesn't get the full sun. When this tree was shorter, smaller, and thinner, the sun would come through. Let me step back and show you. It comes up from that corner where the house is, and the sun comes up. So look how much it has to go into the sky, the sun, to bring me enough sun there. So even if it's only missing an hour or two, that's an hour or two. That's why I'm thinking, and that's why I'm going to go with that route, is go along the wall, because the wall gets full sun all summer. Even now it does. If the sun was out, it gets a lot of sun. So that would be the unique place to grow your watermelon, your squash, obviously eggplant. I forgot to show you, there's an eggplant growing already. And all that there because it's full sun. And here, this is doing fine just the way it is. And then each tote, you know how I love my chair garden. Each one, look at this, still growing tons of tomatoes, and I'm still picking tomatoes. is its own garden. Remember, the truck bed is one garden, so I have to cater to the whole thing when I'm growing. But with the chair garden, I'm only catering to one container at a time, which makes gardening so easy and so cheap. When I bought these, 4 years ago, they were $5 a piece at Walmart. Now they've gone up to $7. And if you catch them on sale, you can get other colors for different prices sometimes. Cheaper. But what's $7? So let's say it only lasts you 3 years for some reason, even though this is still going strong for the past, I guess, for 4 years. That's still worth it. Yes, you could go get a great big raised bed for a couple hundred, $200, $300, $400, $500, but you have to cater to the whole bed. That means you've got to fill it with soil when it's falling, the whole bed. You can't do half. I want to have control over my garden, and I want to have control over each individual type of plant. So I've got broccoli growing here. I've layered it. I've got a pot, another tomato growing up there. And in that pot right now, I've got Swiss chard growing. That squash is gone. All right. But I got a squash growing in there. I got strawberries growing in there. Oh, look. Flowers. Can you believe that this time of the year? Probably the tool and everything is creating the right condition. Green sorrel, red sorrel, tomato plants, more red sorrel. I've got peas starting to come up in here. Look at this. Tomatillos just finished. I got to collect these. I've got a whole bucket in the house. You can freeze them. More tomatoes and walking onions and garlic chives. I mean, yes, we're in winter, but look at all this. Each one. If I only want to work on one garden, then I work on one tote. If I'm in the mood to work on 4 of them at the same time, it's still one at a time. It makes gardening so easy. We're being watched. The ravens are watching me. Oh, and I see a flycatcher up there. Yeah, he's got a lot to say. Brassicas growing here. Is this not gorgeous? This, I will have to say, without a doubt, I'm trying to get back so you can see it, is my favorite, easiest garden. Free chairs, cheap totes, and I create my own soil. We don't have to spend a lot of money on soil. And once you start, you're going to have your own soil. Every leaf that comes off the plant, you are creating your own soil. It doesn't matter what kind of plant it is. This is what Mother Nature, or nature itself, does on the hillside to take care. Oh, it is raining now? It's kind of misty. This is what creates soil, plant food, fertilizer, everything. It composts in the ground. If it's covered a little bit with more leaves, then you got your microbes and your earthworms and everything eating it away, and that feeds your plant. You can't get any better than that. Oh, and this is sage. It's been here for years and years. Sometimes when I feel that the soil's not that good, I just have a pot there and throw leaves in there, and the sage just keeps on going. And that's it. And then we can walk over here. I'm still working on soil. Yes. We've got this pile we'll do something with in the spring. And then this is the turmeric. And I planted that using just leaves from the ground originally, from the pepper tree. Look how massive this thing is. Oh, that's why they're watching me. I think they built a nest in there. Oh, look, it's not as misty under here. Actually, it's raining on me because the leaves are creating a rain. But anyways, let's get through here and then we'll go and show you something really special. So as you can see, the turmeric is dying back, and I've been starting to pick it and use it in the house. Then I'm propagating on this table as well. So this past year, this year is today. Last year, 2024, I started adding more tables. So we added this table, then we added this table. And this is all for propagating and giving it a little shelter under the tree, and it's working. The plants love it. So this is a good place to propagate. We'll see if any of these bulbs come up. And these were bulbs from the 99-cent store. If I saw anything peeking through, I'd uncover them. I'm probably going to get rid of the rock soon and just throw some tulle over it very soon. And then this is just propagating stems. This was nothing, but that's what it looked like. And this is still alive. Stems that came off of purple tree colored. And look how it's bursting into a bushy plant. You just stick a whole bunch in there and you take care of it and keep it nice and damp, but not sopping wet. And it will grow. And then again, all this is turmeric. And that's what's going on here. And I'm going to pull these out fairly soon, because if it stays damp like this, they could end up, some of them could rot. And I don't want them to rot. I don't want to lose all the work I've done. I want to be able to eat it. And I love eating it like a carrot. But I grate it up and I put it in different things. I put it in salad, stir fry. Like I said, I just love eating it like a carrot. So I need to go through all the turmeric, dump it out in a wheelbarrow, go through it, collect all of them, and then decide which ones I want to freeze and which ones I want to replant, usually in the middle, way in the middle of spring when the nights start to warm up. Now let's walk over here. This is what's exciting. There are the upside down planters. They're all ready, and I can grab them and move them. I'm not going to really be planting and showing you anything in there because I don't want you to buy these. They had them at the time for $66. This is ridiculous. And they see how they lean? They do wiggle around. I pulled them out. We brought them here. Gary pulled some of them out, and after I emptied out everything I wanted. And these are light. You literally can pick them up with one hand. I don't want them to fall apart. Look. Off the ground. You can pick them up with one hand, but look how small they are. They have this massive hole because they wanted you to grow the plants upside down. You end up losing all that soil, so I can cover that with tulle. But I'm actually going to probably use them for water features and maybe lettuce. I don't know where and I don't know when. There's another trough I may set up unless Gary does. And I do love the trough. You'll see one in the bird garden. I'm going to just move them around. But on the upside down planters, you will do far better with a dish pan from Walmart for $5, which I grow in. There's the dish pan sitting on the chair. You can sit that on anything, the ground, a little table, whatever you want. And that is bigger than that, and you'll get more. And they're movable. This kind of tips. See how they're tipping? They tip. You got to turn them around. They're good. But now when I look for them, if you find them, somebody has them left over. I don't know if they still make them. And I've seen them as high as $120 for one. Oh, no. Get yourself a tote, get yourself a dish pan, get yourself a table or a chair for $10, and then get a dish pan and you can move it where you want. And the dish pan is 18 quarts, which is really big. What is that, like 4.5 gallons? That's all you need. And that's it. We've done a circle. You know what? Let's go look in the front yard and then we'll wrap this up. My gosh, I still can't believe we're in 2025. I remember when it was 2000. Wow. All right, let's go leave. I just love looking at all the plants and Gary's been clearing a lot of this too. He's trying to keep it open, which is really cool. And I think that is really nice. So we're cleaning all this up and it'll look really nice. And then I can spot different things. Oh, and here's the soil. That's what I wanted to show you. These buckets here, the soil with the carrot wood trees that we're growing came out of there. And you don't want to throw soil away. Soil is usable. Nature doesn't throw soil away. Nature builds its soil from the top. And as long as things drain, you can build from the top. So I will be using all the soil. The roots and everything will break down and it will be the best soil for my plants. But that's what I want you to see. The upside down planters have all been moved for 2025. Let's go to the front yard. So we have hiked over to the front yard. Look at those massive trees. I'm going to tell you, I remember when those trees were planted and they were about 5 feet tall. I have no idea how tall they are. 25, 30 feet. And they are changing the temperature and the climate in my front yard. If you remember when I first started here on YouTube, and it's been what, 6 years, 7 years? Not even that long ago, I was still growing torpedo-size zucchini in those totes in the front yard. I'd cover them in tulle and circulate them to keep the squirrels out because the squirrels love this tree, or the 3 of them. And they would eat their pine cones and throw the seeds on my head, and then they come down and they would be eating my plants. So by covering them like that or making a cage around them, simply out of tulle, like you see draped around the table there in green, they wouldn't touch it because it gets stuck in their nails. And that works fantastic. So they come up to it, and if they did touch it, they would think it's a trap and they would run. But now, it's not the squirrels that are causing the problem, though they are coming in and eating some of it. I can see some back there. The tops are gone. I don't worry that much about it because I am going to do something in here. I'm not sure yet what. This has changed it because of the sunlight. So there is no sun in the morning whatsoever here. And then as the day goes on, it's fine, but come the middle and end of June, when our hours are going backwards and our days are starting to get shorter, not shorter in June, but that's when it starts, then it's getting less light, and sometimes the squash don't get as big as they used to get. So can I still grow squash? Well, probably in this planter that Gary made. This is the puzzle planter. He made this from scratch with cement, plastic bags, and each one fits. It has to be put together exactly the way you see it. I probably can grow one in the front here, and I think I will. I've got the irrigation tubing there. It works. I had a tomato project growing, which did grow and nothing bothered it, but I didn't like the tomato plants I was growing. I grow far more, thousands of tomatoes using a good cherry tomato or a sun gold tomato instead of growing these fancy designer tomatoes. I've done it. Been there, done that. I'm done with that. You can do it. I can probably get some zucchini in there. Right now, I've got milkweed in there. I've got walking onions in there. I've got red vein sorrel. I've got some sort of brassica growing in there. I've got geraniums, and all that is doing good just on its own. Boy, has that milkweed got big. It was one little piece I put there. Look at that. I also will have chamomile growing in there. That's what this is. And the seeds are in there, so come spring, it will come up on its own. But maybe I'll designate one of these and put a zucchini or a squash in there. I don't think it gets enough sunlight or warmth. It should get warmth from the bricks to really grow watermelon. Will I try it? I don't know. But I know zucchini would grow here because once it drops beyond the house, the sun, then it loses it. So it gets X amount of sunlight no matter what. But I do know that squash isn't as demanding for sunlight as watermelon is. So I might try that, but I like the geraniums and stuff growing in here. The table I will definitely get set up. The table is great. I have grown bok choy, celery, lettuce, all kinds of brassicas, radishes. As you can see, this is the leftover celery. This is just bird seed coming up in here. Oh, something is nibbling. Okay, what I'm going to do is cover this if I want to save it. But see, this is what I've been growing in here. I grew it all in the spring and through the summer, and it was fantastic. This is leftover radishes, and look at, I've got radish seeds already starting. So this is, and I have beets. I've got beets in here too. So that works out really well. Again, don't forget, these golden leaves are gold. This is not a joke. This is gold. You can move it, use it anywhere you want. Now, the pine needles, I'm not crazy about. I can tell you a story on that real quick. Pine needles would be good as a filler. It's not going to hurt anything. You can fill your toad up and have less soil in there. But as far as breaking down, this is like, don't quote me on this because I'm going to explain it as best as I can. It's almost like plastic. It won't break down. What's going to break down is what's inside. You would have to cut it to pieces with the scissors, grab handfuls and cut it, put it in soil, and then it would start to break down. But the outside is so waxy that it's protected from the microbes to not break down. Now, why would it be that way? Why would pine needles do that? Because the way I look at it, because I kind of study nature, is it would fall to the ground and create a thick layer of pine needles. And eventually underneath would break down, but it would be protecting and holding water for the pine trees. It's not really designed to have to break down to feed the pine tree because the pine trees send their roots just so far and so deep in the ground that they're mainly looking for water. And the water will come off, go under the pine needles. Nothing breaks it down, so you don't have a lot of microbes and stuff under there, not as much. If it was strictly pine needles, but it will hold the water in the ground. And I believe it's mainly for holding water and stabilizing the soil so it won't slip. So that's mainly what the pine needles are doing. But again, if you want to break down the pine needles, break them up, cut them up. And it's good for just as a filler to have less soil, but a bigger container. Do I mind pine needles? No, I don't mind them. But if you look, you know, they just don't break down. And the story I was going to tell you, I've heard, because I know a lot of zoo people, that would be told to go rake up a lot of pine needles and put it around planters and things in the zoo, because the pine needles, I was told once, could last 10 years and be a good ground cover to put it around plants that they were trying to hold water on. So they were using pine needles at zoos years ago just to use as a mulch. Like we use wood chips sometimes, but the wood chips break down because that goes back to the soil and feeds the soil. But the pine needles don't break down. So it looks like a good, nice ground cover that will last for a very long time. And that's what zoos were doing years ago. Are they still doing it? Maybe. I don't know. It could be. Some zoos. Ginger, turmeric. Oh, there's my houseplants. Going strong. But this is dying back. Oh, it's fallen to the ground. I don't know if you can hear the birds. It is so loud. That's the bird garden. But real quick here, I've got to get into here and start emptying it. And what I'm going to do is tip it, pull out all the ginger and turmeric, separate it just so I know it's easier. One container's got ginger, one container's got turmeric, and then go through it, freeze what I want, and have some ready to grow in the spring. And I'm going to put them and pack them in soil a special way because you can't let them stay damp or they'll rot. But all this does have to be pulled out. And these will have to be separated, these three, because these are the purple or black turmeric. And you'll know it when you pick it. If I do it with you, you'll see it's a very different vegetable when you cut it. It's kind of a blue purple inside. When you cut my turmeric that we grow here, it's deep orange. It looks like a carrot. And then, of course, the ginger is yellow. The ginger grows along the top, so you can always see it. See, there's the ginger. This is all, see, there's ginger there. This is all ginger, and there's more here. And that grows, and there's more all through here. So I got to get that out, because if the weather continues like this, and we have it damp and wet and cold, it will rot. Some of it will make it and grow on its own, and some of it will just simply start to rot. If it starts to rot, that's when your microbes, your earthworms, will get in there and take care of it as nature does, which means they'll eat it. You don't want them to eat it, you want to eat it. So you want to keep it dry, not too warm, but stored so you can have it ready to plant out in the spring. And that's what I'm going to do very soon. Okay, let's go through the gates. That's Gary's garden. And that is why I don't go down there that often. It's a long hike down. He did make a stairway to go down that way. That's the top of his garden. And he's got all that down in the gully. You probably can't see it. There's hundreds of birds in the trees, white crowns especially, along with the spice finches. And then he's got all those trees that he absolutely does not like, that he planted as seedlings way back in around 2009, 2010. He thought it'd be a good cover to protect the plants from the canyon. Well, it was. That part worked. The problem is those are pepper trees, and they're Brazilian pepper trees. And just like the California pepper trees, the regular ones, they send their roots out everywhere and they rob the nutrients and water from all the plants. So if he had a chance, he would take them all down. I think what he would like to do, and I don't know if he's going to do it, is someday take and put other trees in between and start to take them down. But right now they do the job, but he still is fighting roots all the time. But that is his garden. Look how green it is. I don't know if I'm going to hike down there. I'll see. If not, we'll do a separate garden tour if I don't get to it. But he has got passion fruit all over the top. There might be some ubes. They're probably kind of going back to the earth right now in this cool weather. And he's, let's see, his passion fruit. He's got pepinos growing all over. He's got chayote squash. He's got a lot of stuff. And then peeking through the top, I see his bananas. And then, of course, he's got all the greens and, of course, dragon fruit. The whole back. Oh, we had hundreds of dragon fruit. Okay, let's go into the bird garden. They're all going to take off when we walk in through here. Look at that. Oh, you can't see. Let me see if I can zoom in. There was a whole bunch of spice finches in there. We now have hundreds of spice finches. No joke. Okay, let's get into the yard. We're now in the bird garden. I don't know if it looks that much different than from 2 weeks ago. I know I have been pulling soil out of here because this is all man-made soil, women-made soil. I've been piling all kinds of sticks and branches in there, and it's breaking down, and it makes perfect potting mix for my plants that I'm propagating. So that's what I've been using there. Look at all this. Kitchen scraps. I'm still trying to figure out where to put it because I want to build a couple more of these totes here that I made for the birds. So it creates insects and soil for me. And then the birds can come in and eat the insects out of it. So I'm going to get a few more of those done. So I've kind of let them pile a little bit. Nothing's touched it, which works out really good. Look how beautiful the soil is. So I've been emptying out of there. I'm going to probably end up taking that whole tree collard out soon. I'm using the leaves, of course. It's dying back. It's kind of gone all over the place. Look how old the trunk is. It's really good to refresh your plants. That doesn't mean you're going to lose your tree collard when you're growing it. You take cuttings. I can take this right here, cut it here or cut it here, bury that much of it, and take almost all the leaves off the top. Stick it in the ground with an auger or whatever way I want, and it will grow. Now, maybe you'll do 5 of them and maybe only 3 will make it. Maybe all of them will make it. But the point is, I can transplant it that way. And what I'm doing is I'm starting a new plant. Though it's not new, it's not as old. So you don't have that old trunk that's scarred and splitting and all that. You're starting with a new trunk, and that plant can go on for another 5 years. But in the meantime, you're going to continue to take off side shoots. I mean, look at this one. This one is not doing well. Why? Because it's all broken up down there. But all these are new plants right in here. See if we can see that. See, this is a new plant. I can break this off to show you. You'd clean that up, take all these leaves off. Can't do it one-handed. And you could cut the top with the scissors and stick that in soil, and you would have a new plant. And I do this all the time. I'll show you as we walk through the garden. I've got my lemon verbena, nothing in that bucket, so I can tip that or put that. Maybe I'll grow potatoes in there. And I'm going to change this up. This is going to be more of a bird garden, and I'm going to kind of retrain the plants better. I also, we got all the dragon fruit. The birds have been eating the dragon fruit. It is so cute to sit here in the morning and watch them eat the old dragon fruit that we didn't pick. Same thing here. I'm removing all the soil out of here. The bird seed is falling in there from the feeders, but right now it's too cold. So the seed is kind of like out of season to grow. So it doesn't matter. Problem is if it ends up on the top and end up with bird seed growing everywhere. If it's underneath, this stuff doesn't come up like squash seed can find its way up a foot from under a tote. It can come all the way to the top. Bird seed will not. It has to be towards the top. But that soil I've been using. So I'm going to expand this garden as a bird garden in here. And then I might cut back some of the dragon fruit, but I want to bring more flowers and more feeders in here and more water features. That is my goal. Will I get to all of it? Garden is always changing. I don't know how much I'll get to, but things are moving and things are changing and I can see it. So I'm really pleased with everything going on. I had a bunch of totes in here. They've been moved out. Look at the soil wasn't watered. So I got this brick. That's okay. It'll break apart as it gets hit with water. So I am moving a lot of these pots out. I might move the blue one out too, but geez, the dragon fruit kind of wound it all around it. That's a half split barrel. And I used to grow a lot of different brassicas in there. So I'll see what I'm going to do with that. And then I've got walking onions in pots. I love pots. You can move them anywhere you want. These are probably one of the oldest. These are old totes. They're probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. They're going strong. And I've got all kinds of stuff growing. The mint, this is orange mint. But oh, those white crowns love it. So every time the leaves grow, they chew them up. I don't know why. They only like that. They won't touch the chocolate mint. But I've got walking onions here. And then I've got more walking onions. Here's the pineapple sage that I want to propagate. Might be too cold right now to do it, but I'm doing it. I'm trying. More chocolate mint and garlic chives and red vein sorrel. So these are the upside down planters. I'll leave them here. They've been here for years. So for now, these will stay. Not a problem. This is just bird seed. See how big it's going to get? But it's hugged up against the tote. So it's warmer there, so it's growing. Out in the open, it doesn't want to grow right now. Wrong time of the year. And then come spring, when the nights get warmer, you'll have more bird seed growing, or I'll have more growing around here. These, I'm going to paint them up. I love these. I'm going to get a lot of hanging features in the bird garden, whether it's bird feeders or bird fountains. So that should be a lot of fun. And maybe just strawberries and different things off the ground as well. And if I have to, I can designate one to grow and tool it and maybe open it up during the day, drape the tool around, let the pollinators come in and pollinate my strawberry plants, cover it up at night so nothing else gets to it. So I can control the pollinators and at the same time grow strawberries. More chocolate mint in there. There's a mushroom plant struggling with the cold, the hibiscus. It turned yellow the other day and I thought, uh-oh, it wasn't getting enough water because it's under the eaves and I haven't been watering. I actually didn't water for a week because it's been so damp and it did need water. So I hit it with water and now it's throwing flowers. Here's another one. I think I bought those in Home Depot. Here's that cutting I did. Again, it's cold now, but this is the Hummingbird's lunch. And what I love is they flower all year. All year I get flowers. I don't know if I'll leave turmeric in there, but I will have to get it out of there or it will probably rot away. Look at my blanket flower. Look at that. Came up on its own. And I'm still trying to get more plants from it. Had one growing and then it fizzled out. So I don't know, but I need to get more of the seeds. It probably is too cold now. It came up in the fall, last fall, a year ago, and threw flowers right away. This little plant started growing, just got so big so fast. I had no idea what it was. And then it just threw all these different flowers and it's been blooming ever since, non-stop all year. I love it. So I want to get some more growing. And it's in the same pot it grew in. This is how I added in soil. I put a pot here on the top and add soil in there. And it's kind of stuck in there because it's growing its roots in there. And that's how you can add soil. It's kind of upside down the way you do it. Instead of pulling it out and transplanting it, you're adding soil from the top in another pot. And it works. This is my fuchsia. It died back in the summer, but it's coming back there. I tucked it there. Again, all this I want to change. My poor frog fountain. I need to take that and redo that. And I want to move it somewhere. You cannot have birdseed falling into a fountain. So I need to do that because I got a fountain there. I kind of shut these all off. A fountain there and a fountain there. And that isn't working. You don't want birdseed on top of fountain. Birdseed underneath, fountain up. So I'll leave a fountain up on the top because they like that. And I'm going to freshen that one up. And then this is what I was going to show you. See what I do sometimes? I already moved one. Can you see the tree collard up there? That's a purple tree collard. I just took a little branch and stuck it in there. There's almost no soil. And that's how it's growing. Well, that's how you would take off of yours if you were growing tree collard. Break some side shoots off and stick it in a pot and keep it watered. So what else is growing in here? Let's see. So I've got that, which is a container to compost in. Haven't even peeked inside for a long time. I covered it for the bird. Oh. All right, it's not getting watered, so everything is kind of stagnant. It's fine. I could dump all that in there and move it later, but all I have to do is dump a bunch of stuff in there, put a little bit of soil of any type, even from the ground here, on top, hit it with water, and everything will break down. But I want to make a lot more of these because this is so I can cover them so nothing gets in there, no rodents. I will make compost in there, and then the flies will come out and feed the birds. But I will tell you, the warblers absolutely love when I leave the tops open. So I may change that one up too because it's all set up ready to go. But they love the white crowns and the spice finches. It's just like the place they adore to sit there and eat. I don't know. And it's got the straps on the top so they know no hawk or anything can get them because a hawk wouldn't be able to swoop and get them that way. So it's like one of their favorite places. So I've kind of left it. And then I'll change this up later as time goes on. But right now I had the table. It's an old table, falling apart. Threw a tablecloth on there and I'm propagating. Look at that. This is emu bush. This one, I'm sure what this is. Oh, this is salvia. Look how nice these are doing. You know what happened to these the other day? A big branch broke off. Big. So instead of cutting it up, I found out that sometimes it does better when you just bury the whole branch all the way down and then keep something on top so it's always damp. And like out of this one, there were four big branches. This one looks like it's not going to make it, but these look like they're going to make it. So easy to propagate. Okay, the birds are saying, go away, we want to eat. There's not enough room anymore for the birds. I have so many birds coming in here now. That's why I'm going to expand it that way. One of you or two of you have asked me, oh my gosh, you got rid of the trough. No, I love the trough, though I will tell you, truthfully, I really like totes. They're easier for me to empty, handle, do what I want with them. That thing I need help to move because it weighs a ton. It's a solid piece. Unlike the ones you get, there's a lot of different ones you have to put them together. Well, they can warp. They have wires inside, so you can't just dig in them because the wires have to hold the sides together. They eventually rust out, a lot of them. You can't freshen up the soil in those. Well, you can, but it's like a nightmare to try to dig everything out. You've got to be careful digging because the ones that you put together have the crisscross wire in there, and it has to have that so the sides won't fall in or out. It's like supporting the whole thing. This one is one solid piece of metal. It's designed for cattle. And they're not going to make anything weak for cattle. And these are cheap. You can get them for $80, $90. Sometimes cheaper if they're dented. If you see any dented at Home Depot, tell them. And sometimes they reduce a lot off of them. But they're good, and I like them. So I'm taking the soil out and using that in pots all over. Different plants I'm planting now and transplanting and changing into bigger pots. And then I'm going to move that. So my goal is moving it out of there to clear this up so it's part of the bird garden. And I don't need another gazebo because I came up with another way to crisscross that's cheap. You know what I'm using? Rope from Dollar Tree. That's what's up there right now. It's brown. I can hang things off of it. I can do what I want with it. It's $1.25. You get a whole bunch, so I can stake it across and go across and zigzag it. So if a hawk did come in here, they would have to swoop underneath, and by then the birds see them and they're gone and out. But I do want to get more plants that are bird friendly, something I can sit and enjoy, and get more bird feeders out. And like I said, I can hang the bird feeders off the rope. You'll see as we get to it. But that trough is going to be moved. And I've got 2 of them. You saw the other one outside. Maybe Gary will take it. He loves planting in big containers. He won't buy any of those other ones because I don't want to name brands because they all they're a lot of work to fill. It would cost you $200 to fill that with soil if you were going to go buy it. Yet you can work with a tote and you can fill it for next to nothing. Really. You load it up with leaves and then you put your potting soil, especially if you're new, you're going to buy a potting mix. And you don't have to buy a real expensive one unless you want to. Don't buy super cheap off-brand that you don't know what it is because I've had too many of those not grow. They have persistent herbicide in there. You'll try to grow something, you'll think you're a failure, and no, they failed you. They sold you something that had persistent herbicide that could take up to 2 years to break down. And until it's gone, you can't grow most plants in there. But I will tell you, I have nothing to do with them. The one that I personally have had luck with has been Miracle Grow, the cheaper yellow bag. They must test their soil. I've never asked them, but I've never had a bag of Miracle Grow, the yellow bag. And the reason I say yellow is they have a blue one. It's usually double the price or something. It's more money. I'm happy with the yellow bag. They have cut back on the vermiculite and perlite they put in there because that's become very expensive and harder to get apparently. So I add in my kitty litter, the special kitty litter, and we can get into that in the spring. And then you've got the great well-draining potting soil, just slightly changed if you need to drain better with a certain type of kitty litter that's really cheap. Well, like I said, we'll get into that, and I've got videos on that. Just look up kitty litter, Robbie and Gary gardening kitty litter, and it'll come up, and then you'll see exactly which one to get. And it will last you a long, long time. Gary uses a ton of it. You can use it for succulents, vegetable plants, house plants. You can get rid of a lot of your gnats in the house with kitty litter. But again, we're doing outside gardening, so that's another time. But anyways, Gary likes the trough, so I'll either move it on one side of the yard and give him the other one or whatever. We'll see. But going back to here, I want to get the soil out so I can continue to get pots around here and in the ground and plant my flowers. I'm doing tons of propagating, so I'm saving leaves and saving soil. I'm also, look at this, spray millet. Why is it growing here? Because it's hugging the house. Isn't that something? So I move this out periodically so the birds can get it, though the birds can come here. I can see they've been picking on it a little bit. And there it will grow, but out in the open, it's too cold. This is not going to stay here. This is just an old tripod with a wise cam. So I can see what's going on. If I'm not here sitting in the yard, I can check the camera and say, oh, which I can see the fountain's almost empty. The birds splash all the water out. Oh, I've got to go add water to the fountain. Or maybe I see a certain bird coming. So I kind of leave these cameras. You know what this is? This is funny. This camera is sitting on what? Guess. I think I heard somebody say they know what it is. This was those halogen lights. It was a lamp that somebody threw out, and Gary took the top off, and I just put my camera on that so I can move it around. It was free in the trash. It works. And I'm watching the ball fountain there, so I can see if there's no water, or sometimes just to see who's in there, because a lot of times I can peek on the camera and see the birds taking baths. I'm going to put another something up there, probably another bird bath. The green pedestal. Let me zoom in for a minute. I'll put something on top there, and then those are my tree collards. That's just crazy. Look how big they have gotten. They've only been there a little over a year and 3 months, and they're massive. This is not a joke. But I tied them up right now with just whatever yarn I had, and it's working. So I'll see what I do with that. And then I'm starting to put more plants back there. Some of the geraniums died back. I also have some hummingbirds lunch I planted and propagating, which I did here. And I did here, just by pieces. And I'm going to get more flowers that kind of have to like shade, because when the fig tree loses its leaves, which it's still doing, come March and April, it's going to be full of leaves again. And I'm going to trim this back. I'm also going to be selective. Be careful when you're trimming it, because sometimes the sap bothers people until it dries. I'm going to trim off some of the branches I may be able to use for different things. So I'll kind of look at them and think, oh, that's good. So I'm going to trim that tree back, and I don't want it so tall. It doesn't need to be that big, because I can't get to those figs anyways. The birds can, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's too tall. So we're going to trim it back. It was trimmed back. Gary had them all really short, and the thing just took off this year. So we'll trim that back soon. That's the back side of the bird garden. I have nothing here, but I want to get more hanging stuff in here, and that's why I'm going to use those racks that I get from Walmart. I have nothing to do with Walmart. I only shop there, and I like their home delivery, so you can't beat that. Those racks, I've got videos on that. We'll talk more about it, which is way back there. We just passed that. It's going to be fantastic for hanging plants and water features, and I can stick them in, and I'm going to paint them up. I'm ordering paint. I want a paint that will stay on metal. The tester paint you get that I buy at Home Depot works great for plastic, but I want something that's really going to stick on metal, so I'm going to go ahead and invest the money and use my little tiny brush, so one can will last me probably a year, if not longer, painting up tons of stuff. More of the upside down planters that have been here for a long time. Walking onions that are a couple years old. There's a little celery. I'm going to change that up. And then let's see, we're getting a lot of powdery mildew right now. I don't worry about it. Compost that. Once you take the leaf off, it's not going to hurt any of your plants. Boy, that leaf didn't want to come off. And you compost all that. I've even seen the white crowns going into the powdery mildew and eating something off of it. So I'm not sure if they're eating part of the powdery mildew or insects that are getting on there. I really don't know. I can't see, because no matter how much I zoom in to look, there's something on there that the white crowns are eating, and they might be eating the powdery mildew. So I have a lot of cleaning to do. This will be trimmed back. This is the Mexican sage. See, it's starting to fizzle out. So you cut that way back, it will come back. Look how thick. This is a jungle of brassicas. Purple, this is a hybrid, but look at this. And I use this to eat. Look how purple it is. Is that not beautiful? I had potatoes in here, but I think it got too covered. Here's another thing you can do. Tip. Take your leaves, and if you've got a container you are growing in, these are old dog kennels that Gary got. Came from a groomer years ago. I've told the story 1,000 times. Put some pots there, flower pots, see, with holes. Drop the leaves in there and water it. That feeds your plants. You don't have to do anything. We don't buy plant food. None of this is getting plant food from us. I haven't bought a speck in years. There's no reason to. You put some pots in between, take all your yellowing leaves when you don't know where you want to put them, throw them in the pot. Don't even have to put soil on top. Water it. The leaves underneath will break down and create fertilizer. And then you also will end up with a container of soil at the end. But in the meantime, it's feeding all the plants. So that's what's going on here. I can't believe it's 2025. I'm actually very excited. I can't wait to get into the garden, well, which I've been doing anyways, and start doing more things I want to do. Then you've got more upside down planters here. See, I've been propagating. Should trim the flowers off. Oh, I'm not sure. Probably celery. I got celery everywhere. Look little spray millet. And then here, I just threw a bunch of leaves in there and then covered it on top with whatever I had down there. And then here, I've got a pot. See? Kitchen scraps. There's a couple caterpillars. Not caterpillars, earthworms. I watered this, keeps everything damp, and I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't think I'm going to plant directly in there. I think I'm going to put a pot and put something on top. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. And then I want to paint this. I pulled this out from the back of the garden. I bought that at a thrift store for $1.50, so I'll get something in there later, but I want to paint it first. Sweet potato on the ground. It came out of one of the pots. Oh, it actually came out of there over a year ago. It crawled along the ground and ended up there, which is fine. And that's it. I mean, we've made a big circle. Look at this, lemon verbena. Oh my goodness. I moved that one this year. I took it out of the green tote that was way down there, and I moved it, and it's doing fantastic. More platforms that Gary put there. He's going to probably put one there if I decide to bring the bird garden this far. And what else is going? Just geraniums and different things. Look at this. This is another brassica. It's in the way, but I don't want to do anything with it right now. I don't care if it's in the way. I will decide where or when or how much I'm going to cut in my wheelbarrow and just throwing stuff here. Now this I've worked. This is all new. This I've done totally myself in the morning. When, oh, I see a squirrel across the yard. It's already gone. I've been looking to see animals there, and I haven't seen any. They don't like, it's too open. See the hillside? They trimmed everything, which is beautiful, but it's so open that a lot of things don't want to be in the open. So once in a while, you'll see a rabbit shoot by, and I just saw a squirrel go across. But that is so beautiful. Wait till the trees fill in for this spring and summer. Oh, I can't wait to see a deer walk through there. I've seen them before. I've got beautiful footage. But I've been waiting. Haven't seen any lately, though my neighbor told me she saw a deer about a week ago. So I missed it, but I didn't see a deer here. So I'm not sure if she saw it up around her property or what. Purple tree collar, that's been there a long time. It's struggling, but it's still doing good. So I can do a lot of cuttings off of that. And then here is what I'm planting. One of these, this one, oh, look how beautiful. I took that off the deck and I planted that in the ground. And then here I just put pots. Now, why do I put pots by all these plants? Again, if I move the pots, there could be earthworms underneath. It's full of leaves, and then I'm propagating at the same time. So I've got all these triple, quadruple duties going on in one place. And that helps the plant grow, especially if it's in the ground. This one I took out of a flower pot that was over in the bird garden, and it's in the ground. But this pot, which something is nibbling on, I don't care, it doesn't matter, is watering and taking care of that plant. So even if it can't dry out. So even if it was dry and I didn't water it, there's always going to be water under these pots. So that's why I've got the pots here. Same thing here. Planted this in the ground. This came, I believe, out of the driveway. Yes, that one's from the driveway. I chopped it all the way down. It was too big, but I took all the pieces. That's coming off the bottom. But all the pieces I put in pots. So I've got that growing. And there's another piece. But this one came off the deck, and it was almost dead. I don't know if you remember seeing that video. It was all dried up, and I thought, well, I have nothing to lose because it's not going to live. It's root bound. Dug a hole, put it there, and then put a pot there with holes. All of these pots with plants have drainage. They have to have drain holes, whether it's just towards the bottom on the side or underneath, but they have to have drainage, and then they seep into the soil and they feed the plant. I can plant something in there. Something was in there and didn't make it, and I don't remember what. The big one says Home Depot, but no, it had something else. I'm not sure what it was, so I'll plant something there. And then there's another little one. During the summer, I broke it off and just stuck it in there. It's doing great. I didn't even put a pot by it. So it's so easy to propagate. So once we start, this is how you create your own plants. You're creating your own soil. Now what you also want to do is create your own plants. Now let's say you're selfish. Let's say you don't care about anybody. I don't care. I'm going to grow my tree collard and I'm going to create my own plants. Well, what if one day you lose all your tree collards for whatever reason? A storm comes or something. Wouldn't it be nice to share with a lot of different people? Look at all the baby plants on here. These could all be baby plants. You give that away. You give it away because in case you ever need it, they've got it. I'm kidding around, you know that, because I know you want to be generous and give it away, especially if you don't want it. The point is, if you can supply people with something you love, that's your backup if something happens and you lost your plants. You could go to them and say, hey, remember I gave you that plant? Do you have any offshoots I can have? And of course they're going to tell you yes, as long as they didn't lose it. So this way you spread the joy, and at the same time you all have trading power to trade back and forth to get your plant back or more plants if you need it. And that's it. This is going to go to the other side of the yard. I will feed birds in that. That's a big protection for the birds. No hawks at all can get into that, and they love getting in there and feeding. So I'll set that up in some way. And then the papayas. Really thought last winter this was going to just end up coming down. And it is still growing. And it is full of papayas. The only problem is we got cold before they ripened. So are they going to hang on and ripen in the spring? I don't know, but they look great. They're still flowering. Look at that. Is that something? And then the leaves, sometimes I take them off and sometimes I don't. And why would I not take all the brown leaves off? Because as the leaves are hanging against the trunk, they're also protecting the trunk, keeping some warmth, maybe protecting it from the sun, depending on what time of the year. So I don't remove them unless I know they have to go for some reason. And then I created some protection around the trunk here with geraniums. So again, like I showed you plants growing in buckets that have dropped down and the peppers are growing. Well, I did the same thing here. I put a geranium, which is in a pot. It's growing all around the trunk and it creates a little protection for the trunk. It's kind of fooling them and making them think it's warmer than it is, at least the base. Is it going to work for a long time? I don't know. We'll see. But that was an 18-gallon tote. The papaya came up from compost because I compost papaya when we have it. And look at them. Isn't that something? But it busted through and we made holes to make sure it can get through. So the roots are into the ground now, but that's kind of like a shelter for it. I mean, I can't really pull it away because all we could do is make holes. So I just leave it. Maybe I'll put another pot there with flowers and you won't see the crack. Or do you want to see the crack to know how it's growing? Doesn't matter to me. And then here, speaking of persistent herbicide, that was the soil I bought. A cheap off-brand soil I had never heard of. I bought it. I was so excited. You couldn't grow in it. 2 years. No mint, no nothing. Anything I put in there, brassicas, everything died. It took almost 2 years till they could grow. And now it's finally good. That's why I want you to get something that you could go back to the store. In case you ended up with something that wouldn't grow, you could bring it back or the empty bag and tell them, hey, this was contaminated. It did not grow. But I have never had a problem with the yellow bag of Miracle Grow. And that's good sometimes to put on top of something if you're loading it with leaves. And let's say you don't have soil to put anywhere, load it with leaves and matter, and then put maybe a few inches on the top of your containers. It will slowly work its way down to the bottom where all your leaves and branches are, but that's okay because at the same time, the microbes and everything are breaking it down and making soil. So it will work fine, but that's a way to start. And of course, I still buy potting mix. I buy it if I'm doing seedlings or I want to bring it inside. I don't want insects or anything eating up my seedlings. So sometimes I do use, if I'm starting it inside, a potting mix. You don't have to get the seedling one, but that's up to you. And then more turmeric there, mint, and this is, I love this one. Look at this. Is this not beautiful? I'm trying to do more cuttings. I do have cuttings growing around here, but that is just a beautiful, it's supposed to be curly red kale, Russian red kale, but it's so purple. And it's that one big one. And I know eventually it will fizzle out because they can only go for so long. The trunk gets old and hard. But, you know, they can go for 5-6 years, sometimes even a little longer, but cuttings are always good to do. And that too, you would want to share. So you would have a place to go back. So that's it. We have gone all the way around. And this is where I propagate. See what I do when I don't know what to do with them? Just this isn't even a flower pot. It's got holes. See the holes? This came from Dollar Tree. And in the summer, I'm assuming they'll do it again. And in the spring and summer, they bring in these games. And there's 3 of them. 3 of these pots with a ball, and you're supposed to play like throwing the ball into the pot. Well, I looked at these and I thought, wow, I've got the ball. I can do something with that. Some craft work for maybe a water fountain or something. And then I've got the pots to grow in, and they're really attractive, and it works really well for like 35 cents a pot. Basically, you can't beat it. You go buy a flower pot, they want $1.25, right? But you can buy this for cheaper, and it works. You just have to make holes. I use my soldering iron to make holes on the bottom, and now I've propagated all these little purple tree colored. And that's what's going on here. So I hope you enjoyed this. I mean, we're in the new year. Now we got to get through, I know a lot of you, snow and cold for the next few months. Kick back. What is your garden doing? It went to sleep. It's taking a good rest. Well, that's what you're going to do. You're going to think about how you want to set up. You're going to take a rest. And so when the weather warms up, the days get longer, you have so much more going on. That's when you're going to start planting. Right now you're thinking, you're doing other things. Go to the thrift stores, look around, see what sales you can get. Do you want to grow in buckets? Do you want to grow in totes? Whatever you want to grow in, go ahead and start thinking about how you can grow in your garden. Maybe the seeds, you want to start grabbing some of the seeds in case they sell out. Take a rest like your garden takes a rest. Take a rest like nature does. The trees go to sleep in the winter. And that's okay, because I'm going to tell you something. In the next 3 to 5 months, they're going to be here before we know it, and we want to be ready. Certain plants you can start indoors. You could start different brassicas now indoors. They'll last for months in little paper cups or plastic cups in the house. And when it's ready to plant, you got a nice sized little plant. How do I know? Because I left some cabbage plants for the past 9 months in cups, and they're still growing. So brassicas are a good one. You don't want to grow tomatoes right now. You could. But, you know, you're going to have to work with them. Sometimes tomatoes, they're so delicate when they're in the house and they're baby plants sometimes that they might get spider mite or something in the house. Is it worth a try? If you got nothing else to do, of course. But the brassicas, almost all of them, it doesn't hurt to start them early, and they can hang on for a very long time. So that's why that's something you can think about. If you've got the space, you want to set up grow lights and do all that, then you're holding the plants for how long in the house until it's time to grow? Because I can tell you right now, you can set up as many plants as you want with grow lights. And then if you can plant in 3 months from now or 4 months from now, when it's time to plant outside, you'll find that the ones that you plant, the younger ones a lot of times, will grow far quicker, healthier, and bigger than the ones you've been holding, like tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and all that, in the house. They're kind of going to set back. That's why I think I plant usually when it's time to plant or getting really close. But the only ones you can do are brassicas now. And I'm going to be starting probably cabbage fairly soon, because I'm going to protect those so I can make my dad's sauerkraut. And I just love cabbage. But I'm going to get them covered completely in a container with tulle. An 18-gallon container. I have found I can grow 3 big cabbage with other things growing in there, completely covered in tulle, so I get no whitefly, no aphids. I don't need any propagating, and it works perfect. So I'm hoping I give you ideas, thoughts, and don't feel bad if something doesn't grow. If it grew and died back, it's your soil. Nature does it all the time. Not everything grows in nature. It goes back to the earth and becomes soil. Think of it that way, and you'll really be enjoying your garden far more that way by taking the loss and making something great out of it. You could even grow plants just to compost. So with that, have a wonderful day. Happy New Year, everybody. And let's make 2025 very productive as much as we can in our garden, as well as taking care of nature for the new year and for the whole year. I so love growing geraniums. They just do everything on their own. There's no maintenance. Aren't they gorgeous? I grow them all over the garden. I'm going in now. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's Gary's garden down there. I think I see him. All right, let's go take a trip down there and let's use the stairs. Oh my goodness. This is a steeper way of going. And you know I usually use the back trail. Maybe I'll use that to come up. But you'll see there's 2 ways to go to his garden. So let's go see if we can find him. So I just did the garden tour, and I just wanted real quick, I saw you were down here. I know we're going to do a full video maybe in a week or so or sooner.
Okay.
Just maybe a quick walk around what you've been doing.
Okay, basically I've let my garden go for the past 3 or 4 months, and I haven't really done much but a little bit of watering. So right now I'm clearing stuff and composting.
Oh my, there's no more leaves on here.
Now I've just been going through and clearing off my arbor, and I'm getting it ready. I'm going to focus next year on getting my grapes organised on the arbor here. So
Is this grapes?
yeah, that's grapes.
Oh, this would be beautiful.
So all along here, most of what's left is grapes. I've got some chayote left in the ground. This one's been here for about 2 years now, so that's got a really good tuber at the base of it. So I might prune this all back and focus on getting my grapes to cover this.
It's like you're starting, well, you're not really starting from scratch because the plants are in the ground.
No, a couple of years ago I planted my grapevines, and this is what this will be for. Once they get grown over, that's what this will just be for grapes.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
And then you've got bananas back there, and we'll do like just a 5-minute thing because maybe when I get questions like, oh, they want to see this or that, and then I'll know more what to walk through. Plus I'll get our mics, and I don't know if I can wear mine because mine crackles when I wear it, but I'll try it. So none of these totes on the ground all through here.
Yeah, all of this will eventually be gone.
Oh, you're not gonna have any more totes in here?
No. I might have a couple either end in different places, but most of it's going to go.
So the chayotes are in the ground.
Yeah,
This is a chayote.
that's a chayote. Like big leaf gourds, I've trimmed all those back, and these are the fruits that I've got to put somewhere to store over winter.
Oh my goodness. So you don't want any more totes. Are you moving them out, or you're not? Well, is this particular tunnel?
This particular tunnel. I'll be moving them all out.
Are you building another tunnel?
Yes, I've got another tunnel that I've moved from your garden down, and I'll be working from there.
Where is that one, or it's not set up yet?
It's not set up. I haven't had a lot of time the past 3 to 4 months, so I've just sort of, everything has come to a standstill.
Emu bush. That's what I've got in for the hummingbirds. Well, that's the one you picked up. Okay, well, I guess we can take a quick peek into your garden. You've got the macadamia nuts back there. Well, we should do this on a full garden tour. And then these are your apples.
These are my apples. All this I need to prune and get ready over winter.
I really should.
Got my second arbor there. I've removed a lot of stuff off that. So I'll be putting more stuff here.
What I was going to say is I really should start taking pieces off and grafting some of my apple trees at some point. So pretty in here. It's like a forest.
Yeah. I know we're going to do a better garden tour, but I've got my dragon fruit on the left there, and I've got my dragon fruit arbor down there that I've been working on. I planted one, but I haven't planted more down there. I've got to get that going. My ponds need to be refreshed, and this is how it looks in the winter, I guess.
It's still very green for the winter. Beautiful. What is this with the purple flowers?
A wild radish.
Oh.
So it's a radish seed. It may be a hybrid from a domestic radish, but it's a wild radish.
And you eat those sometimes. I know they taste good, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
How beautiful. Okay, I guess I'll let you go because this garden tour turned out so long, but I wanted to come down and then they can ask questions or we'll just come down and do a full garden tour. You'll be Mike, so I don't have to chase you around with my camera. And this, what is this? Honeysuckle?
It's a hybrid honeysuckle that I never got planted. It's growing through the pot here, so I'm going to trim this back and put it where I want it. I don't want it here, it's just where I had it when I was taking care of it.
Do you have a place for it?
Yes.
Can you do cuttings off of this?
Yes.
I might grab a cutting. Look how beautiful. That would be great for hummingbirds. When you move it, if any of the branches break, just give them to me and I'll get them planted. Look how gorgeous. This is a perfect hummingbird flower. Anything that's got a trumpet type flower, I know they absolutely love. Oh, there's a friend. Hold on. Running through. All right, you want it? Should we walk through or just let it go? We could do a
If you
quick.
want to walk through real quick.
I can follow you. Yeah, strawberries all over the ground.
I haven't maintained it much of this. I've got rocket that came up from seed. I had a couple of rocket plants on either side and they set seed, so I've got, that's mainly the only vegetable I'm kind of growing, except for the tree collards.
Well, you've got artichoke.
Yeah, I've got one artichoke here. I transplanted my artichokes from this garden to another garden, but because that one's inside the brick, it's going to be harder to get out. But I want to transplant that before it gets bigger.
Are these blackberries, raspberries, or?
Combination of two.
Okay. Oh my goodness, you still have little fruit. Dragon fruit.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll make it with
I
the
don't
cold.
think they're going to make it from the cold.
Oh, wow. Hundreds and thousands of flowers this year. Look how beautiful the tree collard is.
Yeah, it's doing well down here. The purple's doing well down here.
How beautiful. It's the same plant. Isn't it amazing how it can grow differently in different parts of the plant? That is gorgeous.
I put this banana here, remove some of the roof so I can go up.
Real quick,
Yes.
what is this?
Passion fruit. Got two passion fruit vines and that's the end of one of them.
Could this be what's growing in the garden on my deck? It's not. The leaf is a little similar. I thought maybe something got in there, a seed or something. All right. I have no idea what's growing on my deck.
I still have my bananas along the back here. I want to eventually move these out. My ponds need to be redone and let those go.
It's just not easy to walk through. Look how green it is. Look how you've got nasturtiums still flowering all through there.
Yeah, the nasturtiums really do well over winter. That's the ground cover really that replaces my sweet potatoes. So my sweet potatoes dying back. I've got some of it scattered through here still, but that's taken over. This is my double Mahoy banana that's flowering.
Oh,
So it's flowering for the first time.
this you're leaving here, right?
Yeah, this I'm leaving here.
Oh, wow. I'm not going to walk through there.
My ube too, most of them have died back. These two, this end are getting more shelter, so they're still green.
And that one's green.
Yeah, these two are still green, and these two have died back. And there's the tubers underneath. I'll dig some of those up and see how big they are.
This will actually be easy to get to. All you would have to do is let the wire go, and then you'd get into the tubers.
Yeah, these are my baskets.
The baskets are easy to maintain.
Sometimes I can just lift them up, but yeah, I can unclip the wire. They're clipped, unclip them, pull them away, and they're self-contained, and there's no digging.
Wow, that's another way that some people can grow turmeric and ginger.
Yep. And this is how I grow my potatoes as well. So that's in another part of the garden.
And then you just shovel up the dirt you want or soil, and you put it wherever you want. Okay, so you got totes here. Anything else I can keep? I see a passion fruit floating in the pond.
Yeah, there's still dropping. I've got a few different purple ones here and there. That one's probably ready to drop off. And that one's ripe. I've still got green ones scattered through.
Wow. So right now you're just collecting leaves, cleaning, and then getting ready to decide what you want to plant?
Yeah. I want to tidy everything up. A lot of things I let go. And I want to clear pathways and compost.
Beautiful. Yeah, I thought I had a poppy growing in one of my totes, and you were right. It was a nasturtium. Probably came from here. Oh my. Then you got your society garlic, right?
Yeah, my society garlic. I've got this in a number of places. I want to get this out and into the ground somewhere.
Oh, we made a circle. All right, well, we'll give you then, then we don't really have to come back again until you've got a little bit more going on. I like this. I like your new tunnel. I know I could spend an hour down here. I rarely come down here because I'm so busy on mine, but I really like the new tunnel. It is so beautiful. That is really nice. And what are you planning on putting on that new tunnel?
That's going to be for dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. All right, then you know what? I'll let you close it out.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed Robbie's tour for the first of the year, and if you do like it, please give it a thumbs up. And with that, thanks for watching, and don't forget to eat what you grow.
Happy New Year. And look,
Happy New Year.
Look, blue sky. It's been so dark, and now we got blue sky. Oh, cool. Happy New Year, everybody. And we've got a lot that's going to be going on this year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I want to close this out starting for the new year. I want to thank all the members that's helped support our channel. It really is. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our moderators that keep it clean and family friendly when we go on live. And for the super chat, super thanks. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for subscribing. That is so important. Apparently through YouTube, they want us to tell everybody to subscribe. And thank you for watching. That's actually the most important thing. And for the thumbs up. So again, have a wonderful new year. 2025 should be really cool. Ask questions and we'll try to give our opinions on all kinds of things for gardening and whatever. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
So that's it. And this is the back road. This is from the other side behind my garden. And it is a walk, but you know what? I like this. It's very much like a nature walk. You can see all the trees, the back of my garden, and you never know what you're going to find here. We have seen bobcat, but I didn't have a camera at the time. We have rabbits and all kinds of stuff there. That's the tree that's split in half. But it is a nice trail to take. And I'm very blessed to be able to say this belongs to us. We have a wonderful piece of nature that we can just walk around in a circle around our gardens. Is that not cool? I love it. Happy New Year.